and now we demand you tell your audience to go vote for who we want them to vote for.
Yeah.
F you. F you. I am not doing anything.
I thought it was so funny listening to Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham at this Genocide Fest 2025, where they're like, you know, like if you were to hear them talk about it, it's like, dude, I guess everybody just got possessed by Israel hatred over the last couple of years, and nothing else was going on in the news with Israel, Candace. It's just that, I don't know, so everybody just kind of I guess Qatar must have sent a lot of money around, and then everybody was just all, you know, that's what happened, is that like all these people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and all the people who have been household names now for many, many years, who, you know, is very successful at the top of the conservative, most popular like commentators, they all just sold out their soul for Qatari money, and just and their whole audience is possessed by it too, and nothing. And then they just leave out that part where like, you guys committed a genocide in 4K and forced us to pay for it. Like, you don't think that had a little bit to do with this? You don't think that had something to do with where we're at today? And this like, you know, so one of the things, this is what I was getting at before, because Charlie was a movement guy. Charlie was a big tent guy. Charlie was a guy who wanted to find a way for us to not lose to like the crazy progressive leftists. And you've heard this brought up a lot by Mark Levin and by Ben Shapiro and people like that over this last week. You know, we just had an election. The Democrats had a good night. You go, look, there's this infighting on the right. And so if we keep doing this, we're going to end up losing, and AOC is going to be president or something like that. Now, of course, they just take it as a given that, like, I guess we're just supposed to shut up and they get their way. Is, you know, like, why is that the way it works? But at a certain point, I actually think in a sense, they're right about that one argument. And Charlie was right to like be concerned about this. But here's the thing, right? And you being number one, and you and Tucker are the biggest two. You're the biggest two conservative people in the news. And like, then as Charlie noted, as Megyn Kelly's noted, nobody under 30 supports Israel anymore. Barely anyone under 40 supports Israel anymore. It is essentially, my point is that you're right. If we fracture up this coalition, we'll end up losing to the Democrats. But the only way to overcome that and win is to obviously go with the wind. It's like it's like saying in 2016, hey, there's a big divide between Donald Trump and the entire GOP establishment on immigration. They want open borders, and he wants to build a wall. And it's like, yes, but you've got him and 100% of the base against you. So the only option here is to go with his immigration policy, and then you could win the election. And I do think this all comes down to the war party and to Israel, which are kind of, you know, one and the same in this country. And it's like, JD Vance, you can embrace that and lose, or you can come over here with the people and have a real shot of winning. What do you want to do?
And look, we have the Republican Party, we have a Democrat Party, and then we have the Knesset Party, and they've infiltrated both of the parties actually. And what's happening right now is left and right people are saying no to that. The reasons might be different, but it's a populist movement one way or the other. Right. And it's hilarious to me that they think, after me watching Charlie Kirk get assassinated, them spitting in our face and telling us that it's raining about everything that happened here, the viciousness that they themselves directed toward me in the aftermath. I mean, people are like, they tried to say that I didn't even like know Charlie. I mean, they were so intent on making sure that not one drop of Candace being anti-Israel was a part of his legacy, that they just lied. They lied in a way that, for the grief that I was going through, like, I'm not a crier. I mean, it was a lot. You know, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. It was a lot for me to go through. And I look back and I'm like, wow, the nastiness of them doing this. And then like a couple of weeks later being like, and now we demand you tell your audience to go vote for who we want them to vote for.
Yeah.
F you. F you. I am not doing anything. Okay, here's the way it works. And here's how common sense is, okay? You tell me I can do this job. I can build your house. I can do this. I hire you. Okay. I get behind it. I say, okay, I hire you. Go do that job. You then don't do it. You look at me and you say, Epstein who? Okay. You're at the top of the FBI and you say, oh, these are the real messages. You're blocking people, as Kash Patel is, from looking into Tulsi's team and Joe Kent. You saw this playing out in the news. They won't even let them look into whether or not foreign people could have been involved in this. And then you're like, and now go get out more people to vote so that we stay in power. No, buddy. Okay. In your famous words, you're fired as far as I'm concerned. Okay. And so I don't know what's around the corner, but I do know that my platform is not yours. Okay. My platform belongs to the truth, left and right. Okay. And so it was just incredible to me. They were like, and not even that, they were like, get out people and tell them to vote against Mamdani and to get behind Trump. Okay, if you want to do that, that's your thing. But I'm telling you, I'm not doing anything because for me, political life stopped when Charlie Kirk was murdered and you wanted me to move on. I'm not moving on from it.
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't because of Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson sitting down that MAGA got splintered. It got splintered when you said Epstein who? That's it. Literally for me on my show, when I said, okay, what is this? Did the Loch Ness swamp monster come up and swallow the MAGA party? Actually, who is the Loch Ness monster? I think it's Israel. Okay. I think it's Israel, actually.
Such a good point.
And if Trump suddenly joined the Never Trump party, which he did, right? Trump joined the Never Trump movement. That's what's happening right now. And now they're trying to tell us to join it. I'm good. I've always been against the Never Trumpers, and I'm going to stay that way, even if Trump has joined them.
Yeah, well, that's such an important point. And so but I just real quick before I get to that, I just do want to say, and I made this point last night. I was on my buddy Clint Russell's podcast, Liberty Lockdown. Oh, Clint Russell, by the way, criminally underrated. He's great. So it was me, him, and Ian Carroll, and we did.
Yeah, it was trending. You guys were trending.
Yeah, well, it was a great show. I think I bowled over everyone. I talked too much on the show. I apologized for it afterward, and I was like, I bet I'm going to get shit in the comments for this, and I did today. So sorry about that, guys. It was late. I'd had a couple whiskeys. I was ranting a bit, but it was a great show, and you should go subscribe to Clint Russell's channel if you get a chance. But I said this to them on that show, and I wanted to just make sure I say this again while you're on my show. That look, I don't know everything about everyone here, but one thing I do know is over this last year, I mean, me and you have become friends over the last couple years. Me and Charlie became friends over this last year from hanging out with both of you. And I remember talking to you because, we'd all talk about all this stuff. And I remember talking to you about Charlie years ago when we were hanging out. And you were just had nothing. You were like, Charlie's the greatest guy. Just had nothing but like, I love him to death. He's the greatest guy ever. And I talked to Charlie about you briefly when we were down at the student action summit, whatever the big event where me and Tucker and Megan were. And literally just all he had to say was how much he adored and loved you. Like, so the idea of people going like, there was this distance that had been growing between, like, okay, actually, I know both of them. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's just a fact. And I genuinely challenge anybody in Charlie's inner circle, tell me the wrong. Even, I swear, even Josh Hammer wouldn't have the goddamn balls. Maybe he would, but he's lying. So that's one thing. But then on this other thing, it's very interesting. And, that you're absolutely right that it really was the Epstein thing. I said this at the time, too, that people do not understand how profound what he's done here is to and it may not even show up in a poll. His numbers did go down after that, but I'm not sure the polls can, because a lot of people who support Donald Trump, they supported him, they voted for him. If you asked them, they'd probably still say, do you support Donald Trump? Yeah, I'm a Trump guy. I'm not a Kamala Harris Democrat or something. But the energy and the loyalty and the enthusiasm were just tremendously degraded by him. It's the whole political raison d'etre of Donald Trump was to drain the swamp. And this is the swampiest of the swamp, a pedophile ring connected to government and foreign intelligence. Like, come on. And I will say, weirdly, that at that event, which it was a thing that in a way I think saved me, because Josh Hammer, which was somewhat crafty of him, because it's the best he's going to do debating me. But so what he did for the whole opening of his statement was, like I'm me, so I get up there and I'm like, the neoconservatives were a marriage of the Israeli lobby and the military-industrial complex, and their clean break strategy is what we embarked on after 9/11, and this is the war in Iran. It's the culmination of the 7 countries in 5 years and all this shit. And then his whole opening statement is just every nasty thing I've ever said about Donald Trump. And just look, hey, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point audience, we love Trump. How about this guy? He don't love Trump. And which is a powerful way to to win over an argument. I mean, it's a lame and dishonorable way to do it, but it is how politics works. You know, you get these people like, well, what do you want to be? You want to be a leftist Kamala Harris supporter? You go, oh, no, we're not that. Okay, we'll be the other thing. And then I just went, yeah, I'm talking about the guy who just covered up the Epstein story. Sorry, I'm going to criticize that guy. And the whole crowd was back with me because there was something about that moment. I had this experience recently where I did Steven Crowder's podcast. And that's all, we had this debate. All he tried to argue with was, you called for impeaching Donald Trump. You said Donald Trump's a war criminal. And then someone showed me the other day, go look through the YouTube comments. Everybody's like, everyone's like, nah, like it's kind of like, look, the Trump loyalty thing is played out. They are public servants. They work for us. I'm loyal to God. Yeah, I'm loyal to God. I'm loyal to my wife. I'm loyal to my friends. I'm not loyal to an administration. Yep. And to your point, it's like, this is not, and JD Vance or whoever it is not going to have that type of loyalty from a lot of us either. Like, you got to deliver on what we want. Like, and what we want is not bombing Iran and threatening to overthrow Venezuela.
We didn't want war, and we were totally fine. Like the pro-Israel, he's always been pro-Israel, but it wasn't a relevant topic in the way that it is today. Like, are you going to stand up when Bibi Netanyahu says that he immediately wants your bombers to go take out, and like you just go do it, and you were going to do more if Charlie Kirk didn't stop it? You were actually going to do more. That seems pretty corrupt to us. Like the way that Bibi Netanyahu is just on camera being like, we're going to take over. I need this deal to go through with TikTok. And you're not saying anything. You were supposed to be the free speech enthusiast, and you're going after college kids. You got Pam Bondi, who's like blanking us on Jeffrey Epstein, but responding to like a kid that gets shoved by a girl on a college campus. He's wearing an IDF, so he's basically like wearing an IDF shirt, asking for it, and a girl gives him a little shove, and it requires Randy Fine and Pam Bondi to respond within minutes. You can't figure out the Epstein thing, but we've got like literally an Amber Alert. The feds are like able to answer quick. Like, I'm sorry, this is a joke. This is not what I voted for, and you're not going to struggle session me into they're like using the ghost of Charlie Kirk. This is what Charlie would want. This is what Charlie would want. It's like, was I born yesterday? I don't know, but all I know is that I don't care what happens. You're going to have to work for our vote. When we elect you, we're electing you for a certain job. You don't deliver on that job. Joke's on you. And I think right now the Trump family is feeling that. You know, you see that they are, I think, probably now in retrospect realizing how significant Charlie Kirk was, because he was damning that, right? Because everyone, even if you disagreed with him, people would play his clips. There was a level of respect that people had for Charlie Kirk because they sensed his authenticity. He was authentic, and you would sense that he would get stressed when he was being pressed not to be authentic. And that's now removed. And all we have are these puppets. And I'm including Trump amongst this. He has let his base down, and stop blaming Nick Fuentes. Okay. I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan. Why can't Nick Fuentes have a platform? Why can't he have a conversation? Why can't he talk to Dave Smith and Tucker? The free market works like this, by the way. Okay. If his ideas suck, then Nick Fuentes will be beat in the free markets. I don't need Nick Fuentes censored. I need you to actually deliver on your promises so that Nick Fuentes he wouldn't have a platform unless you guys were lying about something, right? Like, you're lying about something where people feel like they're not getting the truth from this person, and they're going and they're listening to more of Nick Fuentes. They sense that you're a liar. And so stop talking to me about this is Nick Fuentes' are the grapers, the anonymous frogs on the internet. This is their fault. No, this is your fault for not delivering on your promises. And one of those big promises was to protect speech. Okay. And we see what you're doing, redefining anti-Semitism on college campuses. Get out of my face.
Well, also, look, again, there's a certain point, this was actually, it's funny because my friend Daryl Cooper, when he was on Tucker Carlson, he had this big controversy over people totally misconstruing the thing that he was saying. But if you actually listen to the thing that he was saying, what he was saying was that, look, he goes, even if you want to take the most generous interpretation of Adolf Hitler, if you want to find a way to try to be on his side, he's responsible for the people who died under his custody. And the point he was ultimately making was like, look, Israel, if you launch a war in Gaza and you don't have a plan for how to protect the civilians there, then you're responsible for their death. Like, that, it doesn't matter in a sense whether you shot him in the head, or in the same sense where, like, if you kidnap someone and you lock them in your basement and just don't feed them and then they die, you murdered that person. You didn't just kidnap them now you kidnapped and murdered them because you're responsible for that. It doesn't matter if you locked them down there and shot them in the head or just let them starve to death. You still put them in the situation where, so that was his point. And likewise, to Donald Trump. It's like, whether you even know about any of this or not, you're still doing it. You've allowed your administration to be taken over by these guys. Now, look, I mean, I don't even think, to use an example about me, right? Like, I don't think that Donald Trump watched my debate with Douglas Murray and then decided to promote Douglas Murray's book the next day. But
Right.
somebody who's got access to Donald Trump's Twitter or whatever decided to the next day promote this book after it was like this. And okay, whatever. Like, I didn't care. I kind of took that as a feather in my cap. Like, yeah, you got to call in the big dogs to try to get us out of this. But at the end of all of this, whatever it is, it's like the Trump administration here has obviously been much more captured by Netanyahu and Mark Levin than by Candace Owens.
Yes, it's occupied. Everybody can see this is an occupied administration. And I love how they're I think right now I'm trending on X over this. So Candace Owens says she regrets her vote. You're not going to shame me for saying everything you're doing is unacceptable. Try a mom on the Epstein stuff, okay? Try a mother. If you think I care more about loyalty to the MAGA cause than I care about pedophiles in positions of power getting away with it, you are out of your mind. You must have not listened to a single second of the Candace Owens podcast. You must have never listened to a thing I've ever said if you think that I am that blind and dumb and loyal to any person, left or right, that I'm going to go, oh, okay, we got to let pedophilia go. Okay, we got to just move on. It's a hoax. You know, I know he actually went to prison for it. Okay, but it's a hoax, and let's move on to it's a Democrat hoax. I mean, it's so insulting. And you are correct that you know that some of these things are coming from people around him, like immediately tweeting out. It was so disrespectful when Charlie died. A photo of Charlie AI. Do I think Donald Trump hopped on AI and made this photo of Charlie and him holding the Israeli American flag combo? No. But I'm sorry, if you're not capable enough to control the people around you, then you shouldn't be in a position of power. Okay, I don't get to if something goes out on my account, right? And people go, oh, did this go on your account? And I don't get to go, oh, well, you know what? My producer had access to that. It's like, okay, but that's your account, so you take the blame. Okay, the captain goes down with the ship, and we don't even know, who's in control, but we know it's not Trump. So this is effectively like the Biden administration, but totally actually worse because Trump has his wits about him, right? So with Biden, at least we knew, right, that he had dementia before they admitted it. At least we knew he wasn't in control the whole time. It's almost worse because Trump doesn't have dementia, because Trump is actually sharp and he is aware and he is still occupied and somebody else is calling the shots.
Yeah, that's right. And the fact that these guys who all of them, like I've had this experience, right? Like I said, Josh Hammer, that's how he tried to debate me. That's how Steven Crowder tried to debate me. This guy's not pro-Trump. We're the pro-Trump side. Ben Shapiro did like several segments on me over the years. And the running joke was that he would never say my name. He would do segments, not of just like me on your show or me on Rogan's show or like on my show. Like he would do segments of my show and still go, this comedian who evidently says he's a libertarian. Like he would never say Dave Smith. It's a very complicated name. But he would never say it. But then the first time he ever said my name was when I called for Trump to be impeached after he launched the war in Iran. And then he goes, here's Dave Smith calling to him. And like, all I'm saying is like, you look at these Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. And so all of them, they were all the never Trumpers. Like, how stupid does everybody have to be? What, do you not remember the National Review piece, Never Trump, in 2016?
They weren't even just never Trumpers. They stayed never Trumpers. They were pro DeSantis. Yes. And then DeSantis lost. So they haven't won. The person that they have wanted to put in office, they have not had a winning philosophy. Yeah. And now all of a sudden they're like trying to convince us that they're MAGA. I actually don't understand it. No, it's quite confusing.
Half of them pushed the Russiagate hoax. These were never Trumpers, and they were never Trumpers for a reason. Like, people just be like smart enough to see this for 1 second, right? Because it's funny when they come at me, because look, I'm not like I voted for Trump this last time. I sat out the first two. I've always been like, but the thing is, because I'm to the MAGA of him. I'm to the non-intervention of him. Like when Donald Trump came out and said, we're not going to fight these wars. Iraq, you lied us into Iraq, blah, 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 but we'll still bomb them and we'll take the oil and we'll do this. I went, nope, too much. That's still too much intervention for me. Now, they rejected him because he was saying we shouldn't be so interventionist. I was over here like, you should be even more non-interventionist than that. Like, I want you to be Ron Paul. And so for them to sit here and say, it's like, yeah, dude, you guys all fought him over him signaling more in our direction of foreign policy, which is that we don't want to fight all these stupid wars. And it's like, yeah, they're trying to use this energy. It's like, so what do you guys want to do? You want to run on Mark Levin's platform? You want to run on Jeb Bush's platform? That's 1% in the polls, man. It's like, so they have to almost rely on running like us, but then, you know, like trying to, I don't know, demonize all of us or something.
That's it's infiltration. They have to like pretend, and then infiltrate, and then try to force like neocon, you know, pro-military, pro-intervention, nonstop bombing of some countries so we can steal their resources and pretend that there was some moral democratic reason that we were there. And people are awake to it. So I do wonder, it seems like they're playing checkers. It's nobody's believing that you're original MAGA. I mean, it's such a weird thing. It's like, they're like, the problem are these people who actually got Trump elected when we were attacking him. Like, the problem are these people. They're so extreme. We're right back. I'm like, we're hamsters on a wheel, right? We are just right back to the beginning here, and we're the basket of deplorables. Okay, let's go. Like, and now it's like Trump, I guess, like I said, has joined Never Trump, or is being controlled by the Never Trump movement. It doesn't matter. Our eyes are clear on this. We know what we voted for. We know why we got behind Trump, and we know that we're not getting it. We're getting like Bitcoin stuff that he's like pushing, and which is like completely crazy. And like, by the way, also you are taking advantage of people that believe in you the most. All of it is just so wrong, and it's so icky. We're aware of the deals that Jared is doing while you call us funded by Qatar. The deals that Jared is doing in the Middle East with Qatar and Israel, they think we're this dumb. And I'm going, wow, like, did you always think we were this dumb? Or actually, is it because you're occupied by the Never Trumpers? And the Never Trumpers have been explicit in the fact that they think that Trump people are dumb. But we're not this dumb, okay? The original MAGA party is not this dumb. We're aware of what you're doing. We're aware of the infiltration, and we are not going to support that.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, as Tucker said when he was on my show a few days ago, he said, you know, if you really ran on an America First message, it's going to be enormously popular, and not just with the right wing. I mean, you could carry half the left wing on that message too. Maybe not all of them, but you could carry a whole lot of independents and liberals and leftists if you just said, hey, look, here's the platform, like a separation, you know, in the same way we had like a separation of church and state or anything like that. You go, a separation of Israel and DC, a separation of Tel Aviv and DC is like a great thing to run on, that you could get tens of millions of Americans to rally around. That's just it. Our goal here is just, the platform is, we're not going to fight stupid wars. We're not going to have open borders. We're going to start spending within our means. Like how much tax revenue do we bring in every year? That's what we can spend. Okay. We can't borrow and print the money. And I will say, and this will be the last thing I say, and then I'll give you the final word. I do see, you know, like as Mom Donnie wins, and, you know, Ben Shapiro and people like that are going, when did you guys spend any time attacking Mom Donnie? You know, and it's like,
not once.
Hey, look, I would love in a way to argue with a communist who wants to be mayor of New York City. You know, it's like, the problem is that you guys made the whole argument you've never visited Israel, and then you go, oh, you picked the argument that he was right on, that he was strongest on, was rejecting all of this shit. Oh, sorry, you won't even pledge to be a genocidal demon like us. Like, yeah, okay, well, I actually kind of like that about him. But the thing about it is that if we don't, like, and this has always been my thing that I've been beating forever. It's like Ron Paul's whole thing was what, like, it was end the Fed and a gold standard and sound money. And why was it that the most anti-war libertarian was always talking about sound money? Because that's the whole game here. Now you let all these Democrats talk about unaffordability. Well, what is unaffordability? What is that's currency debasement. It's another way of saying this shit that the libertarian Ron Paul guys have been saying for all this time. But the reason why Ben Shapiro or Mark Levin or none of them could ever utter those words out of their mouth, even though they're supposed to be fiscal conservatives, is because, you know, you need that type of monetary policy to have a world empire. And that's the only way that you can fight all of Israel's wars, is if you keep devaluing the currency, because we can't afford them. The American people aren't going to be taxed enough for it. This being the world empire is the biggest of big government programs. It's over $1 trillion a year we spend maintaining the empire. And so while Donald Trump is stuck doing all of this shit overseas, he's had to print a ton of money in this first year. And so what's happened with prices? They've just gone up even more than from the Biden years. And so anyway, the point is, like, we really are in a moment here where it's like, do you guys want the socialists to win? Or do you want to keep fighting wars for Israel? Or like, you get both of those, right? Like it's your choice is preserve liberty in the United States of America or fight Israel's wars.
Right. That's exactly right. And I just say to people, what you can do is you can control your own household. Like I would never allow my sons to sign up for the military when the decisions are made in Tel Aviv of whether or not they're going to die. So all this rah pro-American. No, it's not. It hasn't been pro-American in a very long time. We see that. We saw that recently. And the reality is they need America because they don't have enough bodies. They have enough corruption. They have enough evil. They don't have enough bodies. And this is why they're trying to commit you to their cause ideologically, because you are the slaves that are supposed to go over and die. When they drop bombs and say that they're spreading democracy, but they're actually in Afghanistan having people guard the poppy seeds so that they can cause the opioid crisis, right? Like you're fighting for the Sackler family. You're not fighting because you're up against the Taliban. All of that's nonsense. And people are waking up to that. Another way, and this is what I say all the time on my podcast, pull your kids out of their schools. Okay, homeschool. They get so much power by being able to infiltrate their minds when they're young. That's why they're obsessed with the youth generation. And guess what? That's already winning. There's a reason why they now want to pass homeschool laws. They're trying to demonize homeschoolers. Is because COVID woke parents up to like, whoa, why do I have not even control over my kid's body? Forget the mind. I don't even have control over my child's body. And there's no upside. I mean, this is why are you sending your kids to university? For what reason? To plug them into that same monetary system where they start their lives like I did $150,000 into debt because they thought that they had to go to college. This is all the Matrix. Attack it where you can in your own household. And they don't even know what to do. They're scrambling. You hear it now. They've never been more roarous in their demands for cancellation. And it's because an animal backed into a corner fights the hardest. Keep talking about Israel. Keep talking about Tel Aviv. Keep talking about Bibi Netanyahu. Keep talking about homeschooling. Keep talking about the military industrial complex, and we will win. They are at the beginning of the end of their domination over American minds.